Welcome to Yenko Africa. My name is Ama. I want to thank you guys for tuning in on today. All right, so today I'm going to be following up on that first video that I did, which is actually a video. I came on camera, so if you haven't seen that, please go back and look at it. Not only to, just look at me with my dark circles under my eyes, all right, but also I want you to know that I wanted to come on there raw and just, no fluff, and really talk to you about why it's important for us to discuss what I'm going to discuss in this year. All right. And then you get to learn a little bit about me as well. All right. So I want to talk to us today about relationships on the continent and what your expectations may be and things that you need to consider or to educate yourself on when you come to the continent. The first thing I want to say is sometimes we have expectations because of things that we have heard about the way people are reared or trained on the continent. And so we expect them to kind of be super heroes of everything, right? As far as love in the area of character and relationships and how they handle those relationships, okay? And some of those things, they may have an advantage to us because they have seen examples for much longer, particularly those of us in the diaspora. We have not seen, we don't have a long-standing history of examples of husbands and wives and families being allowed to grow together, mature together, live together. Remember, under colonialism on the continent, even under colonialism, the families were not separated. Whereas in America and throughout the diaspora, the families, you were not even allowed to have a family. All right. They can take whoever from you at any time, sell off your children, sell off your husband, sell off the so-called, family unit, the wives, whatever they decided to do, you had no say on it in it. But some of us may come to the continent hoping, expecting to find that perfect person and thinking that, everything's going to be perfect and they're going to, just be all that we need and not face any challenges. But I want to tell you that that's not reality, okay? Just like any other relationship, you're going to have challenges. All right. And so some of the challenges that you may face is that, for example, if you are someone, particularly a woman over the age of 30, you're going to find that on the continent, their marriage is highly esteemed. Okay. And so the culture of not marrying, as we see in America, and even as people, I won't say they're rewarded to not get married. I would just rather say that in the West, we are penalized when you are married and you are of a certain socioeconomic status. So if the poorer you are, the more society penalizes you for marriage. Meaning if you need help of any kind, they will not help you because they see you as a couple. And so they will say, I can help the women and children, but we cannot help the man. And so people have to make hard decisions sometimes and decide to go their own separate ways just to feed themselves, just to have a roof over their heads. But on the continent, it's a different culture where people are encouraged to marry, encouraged to work things out, encouraged to come together and come up with a solution to their problems. All right. And separation is not the answer. But when we get to the continent, we have to realize that people are still people. And so you can be in your 30s and looking to get married, but then you're going to run into this problem. And this problem is most people, by the time they are in their 30s on the continent, they are usually already married, or they have someone that they are seriously considering and have a history with that person. Not only them, but their family may have had a history with them. And so they've already introduced them to their family and so on and so forth. And so that brings a challenge because, particularly as a woman, I realize that a lot of younger men on the continent are attracted to us. I think because, because of where we come from, we may not necessarily, I won't say act our age, but because we're more in tune with a lot of things that maybe younger people are in tune with, then there's sort of an attraction there. And then the maturity of an older woman who is also in their eyes relevant and in tune to some of the things that concerns younger people. Okay, we know what they're talking about when they're talking about certain things. Okay, and so that brings about a certain attraction. Okay, and then there's always this thing in nature, I guess, with younger men who are attracted to older women. I think it makes them feel more like a man. Okay, so that's something you're going to face if you're looking for a man who's equally your age, if you're in the 30s, 40s, 50s, who is single, who is available, who is serious about you, who only is seeking one wife and not already in a committed relationship. That may be a challenge, especially if he is not, let's just say, of a lower economic status. If you are someone who is, say, in the U.S., a middle income, or say you make more than 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 a year, somewhere along that, salary range or even more, it's going to be difficult for you to find a single man who is equal to you in that area. Therefore, you're going to have to make the decision to see if you're going to get involved with someone who may be a laborer, okay, which is no problem. But I'm explaining on the continent, classicism is a big thing. If you have friends on the continent and you tell them that you are interested in someone who is a bricklayer, someone who is a general laborer, someone who is a gate man or security man, they will begin to, oh my gosh, they will tell you he is not of your class, he is below you. Why will you want to get involved with him? Classicism is a big thing on the continent. Now, if you are on the continent and you say, well, you're not into classicism, then it doesn't apply to you. But you have to admit that it is a big issue on the continent, even among Africans who are native to the continent. If a woman who is a lawyer has an interest in a man who is a security man, she will get insults on every side, okay? Or they will call her desperate. They will call her all sorts of things. All right, so that's one thing you have to deal with, classicism. Then age discrimination, okay? In the sense that people are not used to an older woman and a younger man on the continent. All right. So if there aren't any available men of your same status, okay, and if there are, or if they are, well, no, let's just stick with this. If there aren't any men of your same socioeconomic status and your age group, then there are younger men who may be, attracted to you and showing you that they have sincere feelings towards you. At least they believe they do, and they may. All right, you have to deal with the age discrimination where people on the continent are not used to an older woman being with a younger man. Okay. And so there lies the challenges there. You have to figure out, is he sincere? Is he really into me, or is he looking for something else? Because remember, he's at that age where he's making decisions about his life. So yes, he may be into you, but at the same time, because he is still growing and maturing, he's thinking about his future. And so I don't think there's anything wrong with, you offering someone something or being able to offer them something that they may not have access to. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But you don't want to run into a situation where that becomes the main theme. For example, if you say, I want to stay on the continent, I do not want to leave the continent, how does he feel about that? Is he going to run away from you? Is he going to say that he's not interested in that? Is he going to say that, he's looking for much more than just, being here and stuck on the continent? Does he want to go to America to further his career or to further his education? And the same thing applies to women, men with women. Sometimes men come here and they meet women who all of a sudden they want to go to America and become a nurse, or they want to go to America and get their education, or they want to go to America and, do whatever career interest that they had on the continent, but for some reason they weren't able to pursue it. If you are someone who is interested in staying on the continent, then you don't need to be involved with someone who's looking to go to America. If this is where you believe that Yah has called you, or whomever, or even your own feelings that this is where you belong, then why get involved with someone who is more interested in traveling to America than staying on the continent? All right. So you have classism to deal with. Even if you do find a man that you're interested in, you have the issue of people dealing classicism, where people telling you that you're dating below your class. I can't stand that. I hate classicism. I think it's just as bad, if not worse, than racism. All right. Then you have to deal with the age discrimination, where people see you with a man who may be younger than you, and they feel that you're desperate and you're just reaching, for anyone. And it could be that y'all have a sincere attraction and love for one another and committed to one another, but you also have to think that he is maturing, he is growing, he's going to change, he's going to evolve, he's going to, see life differently in 10 years. And when he sees life differently in 10 years, will it include you 10 years older than what you are right now and at the stage that you are at in your life? Okay. And then when you bring in the children factor, a lot of us are single parents. When I came to the continent, I was a single parent. Okay. All right. And so that's another element that comes to mind. But I still had people who were interested in me, even though I was a single parent. But it's still something that is beginning to be accepted on the continent, but it is not the norm, and it does not come with its questions, criticisms, and even if you are successful, it will. I remember my son and I, we were living in a house in a certain community, and the woman next door, who was in a polygamous relationship, her husband had at least 3 or 4 wives, and each wife had their own home, okay, and their own set of children. He was a nice guy. He used to talk to me and everything, and he was very friendly. But the mother of that woman came over one day, and they were talking. I know they were talking about me, and she was asking the woman, "Where is the man? Where is the man?" Not her man. They were talking about me and wondering where was my man. And I thought to myself, that's very interesting. Your daughter is here, and she's wife number what, 2 or 3, and I know her husband hasn't been here for about 2 weeks, okay? And she's stressed out and taking her frustration out on her house help, right? So the person she needs to be asking where is the man is her daughter, but no, because of the society, she was thinking me as a single woman with a child, where is my man? Okay? Didn't matter that I had this house, paying my own bills, living peaceably, so on and so forth. Her concern is much like many other people on the continent. What is the issue with this woman that she does not have a man? Okay? Why is the man not in her life and in the child's life? So those are things that you will face. Those are challenges that you will face on the continent, and things that you have to consider when you're getting into a relationship. Now, another thing that is very, very important for you to really consider is that you don't want to get into a relationship with someone just because they're a good person, they're a good man, they love you, so on and so forth. You want to get the best person for you. And sometimes when you're in a situation where the only men that are available are men that are younger than you, are men that are whose salary is under yours, and they probably have no way of being able to support you at your current, living status. If you guys were to get a house right now, he probably couldn't contribute anything to that household as far as being able to pay the rent. Like in Ghana, they require at least 1 to 2 years in advance, although the law says 6 months, right? If you guys got into a situation, would he be able to afford that? And if not, would you as a woman be able to live in what he can afford? Perhaps he can only afford a room and chamber, and he would probably be struggling with that, okay? Can you afford that? Can you live in that, okay? Can you come down to what he can afford? And when I say a chamber in hall, it's just a room that you walk into, and that could just be the entire room, or it may be 2 rooms, all right? And it may have a little small kitchen, tucked in the corner, and the kitchen is just basically a sink and a counter where you would put a little tabletop stove. Can you live in that, okay? And can you be happy in that? Can y'all work together until you can do better? If this is something that you think you can do, then by all means do it. But please don't think that coming to the continent that you're going to have men who are readily available if you are over 30. I would say over 35. If you are over 35, 40, 50, and if you're looking for African man who is single, the numbers are very, very little who are actually really for real single. Now let me tell you something else. There are women who will go along with a man deceiving you into thinking that he is single. That's another thing. So if you get a man who is over that age and he tells you that he's single, you really need to check into it. And I mean check into it beyond his family. Check into it beyond his family, even if you have to pay somebody to tell you the truth. Oh yeah, even if you have to pay someone to tell you the truth, please, please, please. I've had people in an entire family lie. And not necessarily lie, but not speak the truth. And you ask them something, they'll be like, I don't know. I don't know. But they're in it together. You know why? Because their loyalty is to one another. And they see things as if one person's advancement is the entire family's advancement. You understand? One person's progress is the entire family's progress. And so if it means not telling you the whole truth, or, acting like they don't know what's going on, or they don't have any additional information, they'll do it because their loyalty is to one another. Once again, if this doesn't apply to you as a native African, don't worry about it. But I am speaking what I know personally, okay? And what I have observed. I'm going to speak on other things. I'm just going to not go into all of it here. I see that I have to break this up into segments because it's too much to go into in one share. But please, sisters, please don't go to the continent totally green, thinking that, oh, everything's going to be okay. He's going to be all right. I believe everything he says. He goes to church, this, that, and the other. A lot of what you experience is culture. It's the culture to go to church. It's the culture to have a religion. It's a culture to have good manners. It's a culture to have, to show respect and honor. It's the culture to be polite. But culture does not mean that's the person's real character and nature. And so you need to be patient enough, respect yourself enough to learn the person's real character and not, I hate to use the word settle, not get so impatient that you decide that you are going to risk or take a risk at getting with someone who may not necessarily be what you need. Notice I didn't say what you want or what you can live with, but what you need. And by the time you get 35, 40, 50, you know what you need in your life. You should. You should know what you need. And you should also know what you want. Okay? And so don't, at the very least, don't settle for what you do not need. Don't compromise to the point where you don't get, let me say this again. Don't compromise to the point where you don't even get what you need in a relationship from a man. At the very least, get what you need. All right? What do you need from him emotionally? What do you need from him spiritually? What do you need from him intellectually? If you know you like to have conversations on certain discussions and things, and you know he ain't gonna know what the heck you talking about, why get involved with that person? Because sooner or later, those issues are those what you consider minor issues are going to become major issues in the relationship. When you want to just have a conversation with something and he doesn't know what the heck you're talking about, or maybe he doesn't have an interest in it at all. He doesn't have to like everything that you like, but there must be some commonality, some strong commonality, because a relationship is more than love. A relationship is friendship. A relationship is communication and being able to converse with that person. A relationship is sex. Okay? And so all of these things are important, and also a relationship is money. Okay? And those things are important, and those are things that you don't want to compromise. Okay? To the point where you compromise so much that you don't get the things that you need let alone the things that you want and desire. Okay, so that's my first discussion on this. There are too many things. Okay. All right. And remember, this channel is not just about, houses and land. I gave you guys some of that because of COVID, but it's the whole package to show you what the experience is like living on the continent. And for those of you who are making the transition, to help your transition and your stay and your establishment on the continent go as well as possible. All right. Y'all bless, and thanks for tuning in on today. Shalom.